good to see you again, Jackie. Thank you so much for joining me on Real Life Matters with Sandra. And today we're going to be talking about mindfulness, which I know that you're very passionate about. And I think it's the right time for us to be talking about it, particularly as we've all been going through COVID-19 and the lockdown and all of that, and the sorts of stress that we've all been under for the past few months. You know, it's coming up to the end of the year, and we could do with some kind of distressing, which I hope that you'll be able to kind of share some of the things that you have been doing with our viewers today. So let's start by just basically again introduce yourself, Jackie, to our listeners and the people that will be watching the video. So yeah, do go ahead, Jackie.
Okay. Well, I work I work for a charity, and I work with people who come from all different walks of life, unemployed, homeless, substance abuse, people who come from different sort of life situations, asylum seekers, all sorts of different people, you name it, and probably met them. So they're all people that have quite complicated lives, and my life is fairly complicated at times. So yeah, that's me really. I'm just on my journey through life, trying to make it a little bit smoother. And somebody said to me once, "So the bumps are what you climb on." They were talking about through life, the journey and the rocky roads and all that sort of thing. And they said, the bumps are what you climb on, Jackie. So
absolutely. I think I agree with them there. The bumps in the roads are the thing that really are there to kind of stop us in our tracks, have a think of where we are, and then climb those bumps and then move on our journey. And it must be quite rewarding. Supporting people that are feeling quite challenged by life and life experiences, and you must be really glad to be able to at least make a difference, to people's lives.
I do. It's a job, and I have to work, especially different things that have gone on recently, and but it is a privilege to be able to work for a charity that is so, their whole ethos is about, life's not straightforward for all of us, and let's try and just help each other along the way. And it really is. It's a lovely charity to work for.
That's wonderful.
I teach a variety of different courses, from gardening right the way through to something that's an employability course. So I'm working with 50 plus people at the minute. Who are unemployed, and we're working together. But all the courses that I do, I bring mindfulness into them. Somewhere or another I get it in there.
That's good. Well, it's just right then that we're talking about it today, and what a rich conversation I hope we're going to have with all your experiences and things along the way. So what do we mean by mindfulness? Because some people might say, I've never really heard of that before, or if I've heard of it, it means something totally different. And of course it would mean different things to different people. But to you, what does mindfulness mean?
Right, so if I give you an example, you've got imagine the picture of a man walking his dog in the woods, so, and there's a picture, sort of a bubble from the man's mind that's full of, I need to get petrol for the car, I need to walk the dog, I need to get something for dinner tonight, oh no, I've got this problem at work, or my phone's buzzing in my pocket, I ought to answer that. And those are all the things that are going on in the human being's mind when he's going for this nice walk with his dog. And then the little dog, you see a picture bubble coming from his head, and it's just trees and sunshine. And that's the difference. That's the difference between a mind that is full of what's going on and what you've got to do, what you've done, what you've got to do, and a mind that's just full of what's going on right now, right in the present moment. And that's probably that's a picture that I put up in class when I'm going to start talking about mindfulness, because it's a mind that is it's something that you need to learn. It's a practice. I mean, it's been going on in different forms for thousands of years. You know, lots of people meditate to clear their mind, but mindfulness is something that you don't necessarily need to be meditating to do it. It's not there's no religious connotations to it, although some people use it in a religious context, which I'll explain a bit about that later. But generally it's just they call it mindfulness. It's actually learning to calm your brain down and empty your brain a little bit of all the things. So yeah, it's learning to be in the present, you know, just to we lose a lot of our life, I think, by worrying about the past, what's happened, regret, and then worrying about the future, things that might happen, you know, that we can't change, and we lose where we are now in this very moment that we'll never have again, and it's lost. So it's about being present in the moment.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful really? Description, Jackie.
Sounds wonderful, doesn't it?
Yeah, of the man and the dog. And I'm going to use another analogy that I have found as well, that other people have talked about. It's about thinking about having a bucket full of water, and the water is all sorts of things, all sorts of stresses and concerns, anxiety, all sorts of problems in life. But that bucket, it's so full that if you do not empty it, and you mentioned emptying your mind, if you don't empty that, it kind of overflows and it can become a real problem. So the way to do it is to bust the buckets in different ways and just put holes in it somehow.
Just a little hole.
Exactly. Emptying that bucket to the point where the water, the stress just flow out to the ground and just get soaked up and all of that. So it's really amazing, you know, when you put things in picture as well, you know, that people can actually resonate with that.
Yeah.
So how can we use then mindfulness to kind of distress and feel less anxious? What are the things that we can do on a daily basis ourselves, and where can we do those things?
Well, the great thing about mindfulness is that you can do it anywhere with anything you're doing. So the list is endless, really. The main practice of it, when I say about sort of emptying your mind, what it is, I guess, more is practicing to focus on what's your senses, your five senses, focusing on what's happening now. And then the other things, the anxieties and the things that you know you need to do later, it's not judging yourself for having those anxieties or trying to pretend that they're not there. It's about accepting them, but just saying, I'm just going to push that to one side just for a little while. I know it's there. I'm not going to judge myself for being anxious and worrying about it. But at the moment, I'm going to focus in on where I am right now. So when people, there's been some research done, and when people are practicing mindfulness, especially when they practice it regularly and train the brain to be able to do it a bit more effectively, it lowers the stress hormone cortisol in your brain, and it lowers your blood pressure. And because one of the simplest ways of actually doing it anywhere is to concentrate on your breathing. So in all my groups, I try and bring in just a 3-minute relaxation breathing video, and they're on the internet. You know, there's some lovely ones out there. The most important thing, it seems, is to find somebody whose voice you can tolerate talking. That's the thing.
It would be my voice then.
So there's some lovely ones out there, and I try and use them. I mean, I'm still learning this because I'm a person, my brain is on the go all the time, and I'm trying to find different ways that work for me. But if I'm just sitting in a traffic jam, or you know, wherever I am, if I'm walking, I just try and focus on my breathing. So take, you know, 10 deep breaths in and out, and just.
You want to demonstrate that, Jackie?
Okay, well, you can use your hand. So 5 fingers up, and what we do is we start down here, and the breath in is going to go. That's the 10. Just those 10
Wow.
can just completely begin to get your they tell your brain, okay, we're doing something different, you know, to be doing something different now. And the breathing, because often we're, you know, when we're rushing, our breath gets faster, and especially with panic attacks, that works really well with people who are having panic attacks.
Wow, wonderful.
And focus on as well, you know, and you get them counting. So yeah, that's really good. If you're somebody who has panic attacks, mindfulness is really good for people who have anxiety, because you're focusing in on something, and then it just distracts the other mechanisms in your brain that are getting you into that panic state. You know, it's just the fight or flight thing, isn't it? Again?
Yes, absolutely.
And it's telling you, you're just telling your brain, okay, we're not fighting, we're not fleeing. We're just going to stand and calm down a bit.
Stand in the moment and just take a deep breath, or series of deep breaths, and just relax and bring your if you like, blood pressure down as well. You know,
slows your heartbeat
and your heartbeat
down.
Definitely.
It just tells your whole body, hang on, we're doing something different here. This is slow. This is nice. And
so can you do that whilst you're sitting, lying, walking?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah, you might look a bit daft, but once you get used to doing it, you just it's all about practice. And your brain learning that this is what we do.
So what other things can you tell us about mindfulness in terms of other techniques that work, that you know have worked and continue to work for people, that people can just kind of use when they want to?
Yeah, well, if I tell you in terms of the courses that I do and how I bring it into that. So I have a gardening course, which is really basic. It's just there's no qualification with it. It's just getting people outdoors and enjoying nature. So part of that, we work with herbs, growing herbs, planting herbs. We talk about the smells. So aromatherapy, that's a big thing, isn't it? I've got a necklace on that I picked up that's got a little pad inside it, and I add some little couple of drops of aromatherapy to it, oil, and then I've got that smell all the time. I smell of orange at the minute. Christmassy.
How scrumptious.
I smell like a satsuma, Sandra.
Why not? Why not?
And then we've got these, obviously most people have got these. You pick them up for like 99 pence in the pound shop or something, and you can put candle wax in there, the melts, but you can also put some water and a couple of drops of oil, and a little candle underneath, and have that burning. Aromatherapy, I used to use that ever such a lot. I worked in the care home doing activities with people with advanced dementia, and amazing. We used to use orange and grapefruit. That used to really brighten people up. Citrus is really good for low mood. It's cheerful, and so a lot of them, they perked up when I put the didn't use candles there obviously, but we had a diffuser and put orange in the and that would sort of blow into the room, and that perked them all up. That was nice. And then lavender is very, I mean, it's got other properties, but it's very calming, and it helps you sleep, so it's very soothing.
Yes.
Millions of other ones.
Yes.
And obviously candles. That they're nice because you can focus on the candles as well. You can, quite interesting watching a candle flame dance around. But in the gardening, yes, so we have the herbs, and we make lavender pouches, with dried lavender, and we go for a walk with them and just look at the plants around, and I often get them to just hold a bit of a plant, a leaf, and we do some mindfulness by just focusing on the leaf and just completely, focusing in on the leaf, the colours, the patterns, shapes around the edges of the leaf. And you can do it with a stone or a shell, or some people like these crystalline stones, pretty stones. Just holding them, feeling them in your hand.
Wow.
So things like that in nature. And when we go for a walk, we think about what the weather's doing. So just breathing and enjoying even a little bit of drizzle on your face. It's like, it's not pull your coat up and rush back home again. It's just enjoy this. I mean, no, I'm not going to get soaking wet, but that's what I do when I'm gardening with them. I do a craft class, and we do some colouring. So mindful colouring. Can't see the pictures very well, but they're just quite detailed pictures.
Yeah, I can see the flowers.
Yeah,
Yes.
We do. So there's mindful colouring is quite a big business now. Just any pictures you can colour in, and it's just focusing in on the colours. And also, if you remember to use 5 senses, so you can get perfume smelling pens and pencils, but also the colours that you're choosing and what those colours remind you of, and the focusing to colour in the lines takes quite a lot of concentration, and it's amazing what they've done research to show what happens in your brain when you're concentrating on these things. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
and it's very soothing. It's very
lovely.
soothing. It's very present.
It is. That's what it is. It's you're being present in this moment right now, and it's allowing yourself to do that, because we don't always allow ourselves to play. We let children play, but we don't allow ourselves to play. So colouring is something that you might think, that's the children do that, but it's permitting yourself to have that time to do it, because it's really important.
What about things like doing crossword, doing things like Sudoku, doing all sorts of different types of games? Do they help at all?
I think if you're a person that likes that sort of thing, then it's great for you. With mindfulness, I mean, I think if it's something that you can completely focus in on, and you enjoy it, and it does all those things like lowering your blood pressure, slowing your breathing down, if it stops you from feeling anxious and takes your mind off issues and problems, doing jigsaws and things like that, they are good for you, definitely good for you. in terms of mindfulness, they might, it depends on you really. I mean, if you find them taxing and you're worrying about, oh, I can't do this, I can't find I mean, numbers, Sudoku, that would be my worst.
Seriously? Oh, I love that. Oh, I love it.
Do you?
I could do it for hours on end.
Really?
And I do it for hours on end in a day.
Yes,
I mean, it just helps me to relax.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. It works, doesn't it? Yeah. But numbers for me would be scary.
No.
That would be blood pressure up, anxiety. But even the sounds, you know, like when you're colouring using pencils, there's a lovely sound of it rubbing across the paper. So that's but it's the most important thing is finding the thing that you can do that is your little happy place that you go to, and it's like that's just that little bit of time for me, you know, allowing yourself.
Yeah. So does that mean you don't have to use all your senses at that particular moment, but at least be in touch with maybe one or two of our senses at the time? Maybe the smell, the touch, not so much the taste, unless you're outside in the water, the rain, and you might want to, you know, stick your tongue out and taste the rain.
Why not? How many children do you see when it starts to snow? They go, catch a snow.
That's true, you know, just to have this taste.
I mean, it is just allowing yourself that bit of time to just switch your brain off. You know, when you're being creative, you're using the right side of your brain, and then other things are using up the other side of your brain. It's just using it all really. And I think the biggest thing is allowing yourself to have that time. I mean, I love craft, so when I'm doing my craft classes, and in my own time, that's how I mean, I do all the other things, and the breathing, because I used to do, I mean, you know, I've got problems with my back, and I've also there's a condition called fibromyalgia, which seems to be prevalent in my family, and so chronic pain or persistent pain is something that mindfulness is really helpful in. Yeah, so when I was having a lot of problems with my back, that's when I got into mindfulness, because I had to try and find a way. I didn't want to take loads of painkillers, and sometimes the painkillers didn't work. So I had to find something else that kind of took my mind off the pain, and mindfulness worked really, in practice again, but it worked well for me. So I do a lot of sewing, so I've got some sewing. There's another thing that I do in the art class, and we do mindful sewing. So the thing is with this, you don't have to be artistic, you just need to be able to stick a needle in and out of a piece of fabric.
And just concentrate on doing it. Takes your mind off everything else that you're worrying about.
It doesn't matter. You're not judging yourself what you're doing. No. You're just enjoying the moment. And sewing's really good because you can do lots of little stitches.
Is that a cushion you're doing it on, or is it just a piece of cloth?
That's another thing. This is just like a book I've been putting together. This soft stuff is called batting. It's like what you use in quilts. Yes. And there's a lot of it on YouTube. There's a lady that brought about during the first lockdown. She brought about this movement. I mean, I guess it probably had been out there, but she kind of focused in on it with people. And they call it slow stitch or mindful sewing, and there's quite a big movement of it now. And it really is. It's like patches of fabric. Yeah. Just tacked on, and then once it's on there, you can just. I've got it in the right place. Yeah, you can just sew I can see it. All sorts of bits on it.
Buttons and whatnot.
And just slow circles.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's really it's really lovely to just be able to, and because then there's also the pressure of like, oh, I can't do blanket stitch and I can't do butterflies.
I know that feeling.
I'm not really into that sort of thing, but I do enjoy using the fabrics and the textures and just thinking about the colours and choosing things. And this one's felting, which is using like wool and just using felt into it and then sew bits on. And then I also do a bit of this is called English paper piecing. So you cut up hexagons, and then sew them together. But this sewing by hand really slows me down. So that's what I tend to do. You can
use those as coasters, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I could, or even put a pot plant on it.
Yeah, that's what I did. I had big ideas of making a table runner, but in the end I just thought, no, I'm really enjoying just sewing these together into flowers. So I've got all my pot plants on them.
Fantastic.
But that's my thing. And
I like the idea that you said, allow yourself. It's almost like you're saying we need to give ourselves permission to feel young as well, to be like a child, because for you to do those, as adults, we take on adult pressures, obviously, because obviously being an adult is quite challenging, and also being a child or whatever can be challenging. But the difference between adults and children is the fact that they can feel stress 1 minute and hopefully they can go off and do things and not think about it. But with adults, we seem not to escape from those pressures. So it's about allowing ourselves to feel like children again and just enjoy life.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's being childlike. I mean, it's you've got to get your head around that idea as well, haven't you? It's quite a big thing. We accept that children need to play and need to explore, and I used to work with children, and I enjoyed the working with them, doing craft, obviously, and I loved the way they would make something, and then I'd be like, oh, you're going to show that to mummy or daddy, and you're going to take that home, and they're like, no. They're not bothered.
Right.
They've done it. They've done what they wanted to do. They've got from it what they wanted, and often they would just, if they were painting, they didn't necessarily mind if it didn't look like an elephant or what, to them, they were just enjoying the paint on the paper and the way it dribbled down and the colours and the texture of the paint. And that's what I brought in for people with dementia, because they couldn't sew anymore, they couldn't knit. They'd lost that skill, but they still enjoyed holding the wool and wrapping it round things and holding fabrics with different textures. So that was something I brought in for them. But it's lovely. I mean, being able to go out for a walk. I think a lot more people have been walking recently.
Yes.
A lot of people about walking.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really
I remember at the start of the lockdown, obviously we couldn't go out. I think there was a time it was only once a day you could go for a walk. Now I'm sure you could go for several walks, for as long as you remain distant from everyone else, and you if you're going into an enclosed place or spaces, you put your mask on and stuff like that. And we've met on my walks before. Once before, and it's just so beautiful, especially when you do it around in a field or a garden or or a park, or even if you're doing it by the roadside or wherever you find yourself, just being present and not worry about the cars passing by and all that stress and smoke and whatnot. And it's beautiful. It does a lot to not just your brain, but to your whole body.
It does. It just calms. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it was when I had the back problems and I was trying to go for walks, and I would be focused. I'd be walking and be out, but my whole body was still tense with the pain, and so I started to do the breathing, and instead of head down, just focusing on I've got to get from here to there, and it's going to hurt. I started breathing, which does sort of help with the pain, and also looking in the gardens at different plants and flowers. And if I came to a house that had got a nice rose bush or something, I'd just stop and just really have a good look at the rose or lavender, just smell it. And there in Japanese culture, there's something called Shinrin Yoku.
I'm glad you said that, not me.
Yeah, the Japanese are really good at this, Sandra. I'm learning. I'm so interested. They got this thing, and it's called forest bathing, and it's actually prescribed now by doctors in Japan
now,
and their health as part of, they prescribe it, forest bathing.
So the idea is you take your bucket and water, go in the forest, and start bathing.
No.
Hopefully clothed.
Not fully clothed, no, not bathing, no. No, you don't even need water. You're just going to bathe in the presence of the trees. Just walk. Apparently, trees give off a chemical. I can't pronounce it, so don't ask me what it is. It's a PHY thing. But they give off chemicals, and those chemicals boost our immune system.
Wow.
It's found to boost our immune system. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's something about green that
Yes.
relaxing to the brain, and being in nature, with plants and especially trees. It's actually, research has shown it physically lowers stress, the cortisol, the stress hormone. And so they're prescribing it out there. I think in this country they are starting to come around to this. There's other ways other than just medication. There's other ways of dealing, because a lot of people who come on our courses have been sent to us by different groups like Mind, if they've got, different mental health problems.
And in Nigeria they do a lot of herbal medicine.
Right,
Forever, for centuries. It's been really, really big on herbal medicine. You just go into the forest, go into the woods, and pick up. Obviously, you've got to know what you're picking, because you've got to be careful. It's like mushroom. Picking mushroom in the fields is not advised, because you could pick the poisonous one. So the people that are in the know of the right ones to pick, all they need to do is to pick that, and they prescribe it to you, and they tell you how to take it and all of those kind of things. So I think there needs to be, the two need to work hand in hand, I think, the herbal part of things and also medication, because a lot of people don't like taking medicine. Because it's been processed and whatnot.
And it has side effects. I mean, some of the medication that I was on, the pain and everything it didn't take the pain away, because it was a different sort of pain. And especially with some of these chronic invisible illnesses like fibromyalgia, they don't really know what causes it. It's just like your pain volume's been turned right up, and so your body's just processing pain a little bit more intensely. And so, but it's an invisible illness and people don't see it. And so when I was on a lot of pain relief, I had some awful side effects. One of them, I came off too quickly, and I had terrible anxiety, and I thought, I'm going nuts, I'm really going nuts here. Can't sit still. I'm so anxious, really horrible. And it was because I was coming off these tablets too quickly.
And it's interesting how nature our creator, God, has made all of these things available to us.
And it's free. I mean,
And
you
it's
know,
free.
it's free.
Yes. All you need to do is to get knowledge as to which one does what, you know, and maybe there needs to be some focus on that, particularly in the Western world, because I know they do focus on it in Nigeria as well. But again, the medicine kind of overrides everything because everyone thinks that's the best. But as you said, it sometimes is not always the best, and it probably doesn't cure, you know, the ailment. But the God who created us
alongside it,
other things as well, exactly. Byproducts of those things can be quite intense. Whereas, you know, God has created all these things for us to use.
Yeah, we've lost touch. We've lost touch with what's around us. I mean, and going for a walk, looking at leaves, feeling the weather, the sun, and really being present in that moment as you stand there in the sun and you feel the heat on you and you know it's doing you good. I mean, you know, I know there's sunburn and all that sort of thing, but you're not going to be out in it for hours, are you? But just feeling the heat, the warmth in your body, knowing that it's doing things to your body that's good, you know, making vitamins in your body and all that sort of thing. You know, even adding herbs, you know, when you're cooking, on the cooking course that I do, we spend a lot of time thinking about herbs and spices and things like that you can add into your cooking that are good for you, but they just add an extra level of taste and smell. And being mindful when you're cooking, you know, the smell and the sensations. I mean, obviously when you're eating, mindful eating, that can help with weight loss, and you know, people start eating a little bit more healthy stuff, you know, eating fruit and vegetables, thinking about where the mindful process of eating something is. You know, we eat on the go, don't we?
Yes.
Do you know, I was reading that in Japan it's considered very rude to eat anywhere other than at a table, sitting down for a meal. Yeah. But we rush around eating a sandwich, texting, you know, we all do it. It's
absolutely
life, and it's not to be judged, but it's not always helpful for us. So eating something, there's one exercise that you can find on the internet, which is just eating a raisin. Get a raisin,
that tiny thing,
tiny raisin, yeah. And the guy talks you through eating this raisin. So first of all, you're gonna look at it, you're gonna use all your senses, you're looking at it and actually noticing the wrinkles and the ridges on it, and the color and the shine, and then you're gonna smell it, you feel it, how it feels in between your fingers, and last of all, you eat it.
Swallow it, girl.
You just eat it and bite into it and then taste the different flavors on your tongue. That's not exactly mindful eating, you know, you're not going to eat a box of raisins like that, but it's just training you to think when you're eating, to slow down, to chew. And you know, sometimes how many times have you eaten something and before you, maybe this is just me, but I say I'm going to have one biscuit, and then before I know it, I'm halfway through the pack.
Yeah,
it's not mindful.
No, exactly. It's like, I can't stop eating now.
Cookie monster. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, it's absolutely been amazing talking to you, Jackie. And I think, you know, you have to come back again. You know, we really enjoy hearing you and all your experiences and all of that. You're wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us today. And you look after yourself, take care, and be very mindful.
I will be mindful. You too. Bless you.
Bless you. Bye for now.
Bye.